I'm Travis Weaver, and you're listening to the Good People Project. You ready?
I'm ready.
Should we do it?
Okay, let's go.
Let's do it. The wise and talented Matt Wigginton. How's it going? Thank you for joining the Good People Project.
Thank you, Travis. I appreciate you letting me come on.
Yeah, so first of all, I got to give you credit because I've been thinking a lot lately about this Ben Franklin quote. He said that well done is better than well said. And as politicians, well said is kind of the ball game. You know, we were a lot more well said than well done.
Yeah.
But we get here tonight, and as I show up, you're outside at Village Hall here putting up Christmas decorations. You got your vest on because you're working outside. And so you're not just in it for the name on your door there. You're actually putting in some work.
I can, walk and chew gum at the same time. So, trying to do my part.
Yeah. So what's Christmas like in the Heights?
Oh, man, it's huge. We have a small town community, small locally owned shops. So if we can shop local, but also bring our community together. We'll have a big Christmas tree lighting here on the day after Thanksgiving, and we have a fun little festival out here in Tower Park that'll run for 2 weeks. Just bringing little crafts and shops and things in. It's just great for family, great for friends. Really just small town community.
It's got to be wild to be in this position, especially so you got elected last April, May.
Yeah.
It's
Hard to
spring.
believe it's just been like 6-7 months now.
And so you're going into your first Christmas season as the mayor of Peoria Heights here, and you're not from the area. You moved here, and so 20-year-old you has got to be like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
And now, you got this undertaking, you're putting up Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
And 20-year-old you's looking into the future like, what the hell is he doing?
You basically, you have to bloom where you're planted. So, I couldn't be happier here in the Heights and where things have come.
Yeah, there's this legendary cat exec. His name was Ed Rapp. Would have been an amazing CEO. Ended up getting ALS. Anyway, so guy travels the world, lives all over the place, working for Cat, and in his book wrote, no matter where you're at, unpack your bags. Unpack your bags. You live there, be present in the community, get on the school board, be involved in the PTA, because it's hard if you're new to a place and maybe you're not sure how long you're going to be there. Do you really unpack your bags, or do you kind of say, I'm not going to get to know my neighbors, I'm going to leave in 2 years? And for you, obviously, you're not here for a 2-year stint, but you unpacked your bags more than anybody could.
I mean, the thing is, I have 2 kids in the community. We're invested in here, so you got to protect that investment. And so for me, it just made sense.
So how'd you get here? Give us a story.
Really, I like to say, for my profession, I'm an attorney by trade, but I was working from home before working from home was cool. So I got involved that way. I could really go wherever. And so my wife, who's a physician, works at the Carl hospitals here locally. When she got a position out here, kind of picked us all up and we came. So I followed the wife, best decision I ever did, and have been doing that since I said I do. But really worked out well, and so brought the family here. I still work for the same firm back east, but still do it, completely remotely, which is great.
Yeah. And how long have you been in town for?
We're coming up on a decade, I think.
Oh, wow.
So about 9 years now. So, so I was on our zoning board starting about 6 years ago, then ran for our village council, village board. And then, been on, this is the mayor job, like you said, about 6-7 months.
So your kids only know Peoria, right? Because how old is the oldest one?
She's 10.
Okay.
So, she got a little bit of...
Wow, that's a big move. Were you in West Virginia before?
We were in right outside the D.C. suburb.
Okay.
So, between Baltimore and D.C.
So you moved 4 states away.
Oh, yeah.
With a infant.
Oh man, and we drove. That was a heck of a drive. But yeah, she did. She's done great. She took to it as well, and like I said, she's great. And then we have our youngest one who was born out here. So they just growing up so fast, but they're growing up great. And this is the best place that we could have had them grow up.
It's interesting to me to think about you as being somebody from the East Coast, because I view you as somebody that's got Midwestern values. I mean, I feel like you fit right in here. I see pictures of you like with your shotguns. I'm like, this guy
Yeah.
could have gone to Peoria or Dunlap or Morton,
Yeah.
and here you are,
Well, yeah.
not
So
from here, but it seems like it's a match.
yeah. So I grew up in Virginia, and everyone thinks kind of gravitates to the DC area, but I was closer to the where West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia and North Carolina, they all kind of come together right there in the Appalachian Mountains. And notice I said Appalachian because, people from there, that's what we say. Appalachians or what maybe some of that Midwestern might say. But
Okay,
but
so there's the difference.
yeah, there may be a slight difference. But yeah, we grew up. Gosh, I was a kid and we had one high school in our entire county. So coming to Peoria, this was the big city compared to where I grew up. We drove an hour to get to the mall. So really, having those, I think it's those small, family-oriented values, where you get really anywhere.
Yeah.
But if that's Midwestern, then I'll lap it up every time. This is great.
Yeah, I feel kind of similar because I did my undergrad at Alabama,
Right.
and like they would give me a hard time being a Yankee from the north. And I'm like, I hunt, I fish. I was the freaking FFA president.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not coming from Schaumburg.
Right,
It's like
yeah,
I'm coming from,
Yeah, that's you're right. When you say you're from Illinois, oh, I love Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, there's more to it than that.
Yeah. So, tell me about like how you grew up. I know more present day, man. I know something. You went to William and Mary,
Right.
but tell us your childhood and
So
how you were raised.
Yeah, so again, very small community. We had, like I said, two middle schools in my county, one high school. We all fed there. One my sister and I grew up there. She moved off. She stayed out east. She's now at UPenn as like the dean, one of the deans over there. It's hard to keep up, but and then
So one sibling.
and then met my wife in undergrad. She was 19. I was 21. That may have something to do with it, but we stayed together. She went off to study abroad in Oxford for a while and then came back, and she went off to medical school. I went to West Virginia for law school, and then the rest is history. I moved up to Minnesota.
That must have been tough, man.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
smokes. So were you a senior or a junior when you guys met?
I was a junior.
Okay, so you were together for 2 years in school.
Right, yeah.
But then to be 21 and 22 and she's in a different country and
Right.
you're doing law school.
Right, yeah. Tough. And then,
That's
absence
the
makes the
exception.
heart grow
Yeah.
fonder, though, right? And there was plenty of room to grow fonder since so it all worked out. And after law school, I moved up to Minnesota to have her finish up med school. And the deal was, I was gonna, live in Minnesota for 2 years, and then we'd go somewhere warm. And I guess we got warmer coming down to ended up in Illinois. So yeah, it's worked out. I couldn't have asked for a better story.
Well, and it seems like to know the both of you, it makes sense how you could travel and make a new place home because you seem like so close. I mean, everybody says marry best friend. I mean, you genuinely seem like you and her have a really strong friendship.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, she's been a real partner for me in both my career as well as in family life. Obviously, we both have pretty demanding jobs, but we always make time for family. That's our highest priority is making sure our kids grow up so that they have every opportunity, and I think that's true probably of every parent. So coming out, she was doing some of her residency in Baltimore, and coming out of Baltimore, coming here, it's obviously a night and day difference. And so when people ask me, what do you think about the crime? And I think, well, it all depends on your perspective. My perspective was coming from Baltimore. There's a little bit of difference, being over our police department now, I zero tolerance, obviously, but again, I'm coming from a little bit of different perspective, Baltimore.
Yeah. So let's get into the Heights a little bit. It's got to be a really fun role, I would think. I mean, so I've got down here, what's going on in the Heights? Peoria Area Choice Award winners.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all the Peoria Heights,
Yeah.
Artemis Aesthetics, Treskers, Leaves and Beans, Oliver's, Branzo's, Slowhand, Schooners, Sherwin's, Allwyn and Sons, D's Paint and Body. And it doesn't even mention my favorite upscale restaurant in town, Jim's Bistro.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
all the winners are
Yeah.
from your community. So that's got to be fun to just have such a uh, great business
Absolutely.
landscape.
We, again, and every single one that you just named is a small, locally owned business. So that is so important, is that we build our, downtown environment. I'm kind of pointing out in this direction, but, I'm looking down Prospect, which is our main thoroughfare, and, to see all of these, closely lined family, or small owned businesses, it's such a treat to have, that Main Street feel still exists, despite some of the big box stores that you see elsewhere. And I'm not, I love that, some communities, that's how they go. But for us, we try to grab those smaller, businesses, and that's the formula that's worked here.
Yeah. It's got to be a nice job because you have so many strengths. But I wonder if there's that aspect that's maybe a little intimidating about it. Like you've inherited this great ecosystem as opposed to, if you inherit Gary, Indiana, you're like, we can only go up from here.
Yeah.
Like that would be intimidating because it's so bad. Yours almost seems intimidating because things are going so well.
Well, and, there is some pressure, and you're right, you don't want to break what you've bought. But that being said, you want to continue that momentum as well. So, my role, and people ask me, what about being mayor? And I said, well, the job description really is being your community's head cheerleader. And so for me, I am trying to promote, to encourage, to, draw in as much as I can from our community, from our small businesses, and from our visitors to, make this place appealing. And I think that kind of being a culinary entertainment destination in our region, I want to continue that, but also grow upon that, but also, utilize how we have that strength. How can we play off that, bringing in maybe businesses that would feed off of that or want to be around that? So that's kind of what I've been doing. We had that announcement with Clifton Larson Allen. It's a major accounting firm coming into Peoria Heights. That's going to bring 100 jobs to our community.
Wow.
And those kinds of jobs are going to, those people are going to need to, visit some of our dining destinations like Jim's that you mentioned, or, so having that just, that just feeds off one another. Don't want to mix my puns, but they really will be complementing each other, I think.
So you have a 4-year term?
4-year term.
So let's say you do two terms. It's 2033.
Yeah.
What would you like to look back on and see as a difference in the community that has your fingerprints on it, as your legacy as the mayor?
Right. So one thing I'll be looking back on is my youth, because 6 months in, I had all black hair when I first started this job.
It's gonna be the same color. You're just gonna have less of it.
Right. Yeah, that might be it. No. So we have a big Gary Pearl, who's again a local. His family's been involved in the community for forever. He's has a huge new building right outside of my office window here, bringing 50 new jobs to the area, completely new development, going to be a very modern building right along the Prospect and Glen, right on that corner. And it really, and I've said this in other interviews, is that it's turning the corner on economic investment, literally, from Prospect to Glen. So we're kind of continuing down that growth, and not just from, an economic development, but also residential. We have residential growth happening here. So I'd like to be able to say I'm bookending our community that, Peoria Heights has a rich history. This building itself that we're sitting in right now was built due to and in part with Pabst Blue Ribbon. They had a huge factory, a huge brewery here. And so when that exited our community was devastated. We had lost, our major benefactor, as well as, an employment source. So that was 35, 40 years ago. So we've been building upon that. It's like a phoenix rising. We've reinvented ourselves as that culinary destination from more of an industrial base. And I like to see that kind of blossom. I'd like to see that we really culminate with, our vibrant entertainment dining district that's also services, you know, um, our corporate business partners that'll be coming in, like I said, with a Pearl, with Raymond James, with Clifton Larson Allen, all coming in. Again, I keep coming back to this, but that's 150 jobs with all of those um, coming in since the start of my term. So I'm very excited about that, and so I'd like to continue that growth.
What's the population here?
So we are about 5,800.
Okay.
5,800, and that's down from, like, when I mentioned it when Paps was here, that's down from close to 8,000. So we have lost population, and that's something that I'd like to stop, obviously. Our population is tied to some of our county and other taxing bodies. I get an appointment to, our city link to the airport, and if our population drops to a certain level, I'd lose that. So it's so important that I maintain residential growth here. So at our last meeting, we just passed an economic package for a new residential building that's going to bring new really, fairly mid to upscale living here to the Heights too. So, like I started off saying, I want to be able to do two things at once, and hopefully, we can focus.
You're in an interesting situation with population growth, though, because it's not a function of like people wanting to live elsewhere. It's a function probably just of capacity and availability. And if you build the availability, the people are coming. I mean, this is one of the most in-demand communities in the region.
Yeah, I mean, there's we have to. There are a lot of variables there. We have to have that certain demographic. People who want. We have smaller plots here, so I joke in other. If up in your district, I don't have a farm field that I can plow over and pave over and build a new residential. So it is. We are very confined in terms of geography, and so having to.
Yeah, I mean, literally, there's go down a cliff right there.
Yeah, so watch your turn out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have to, when I mentioned reinventing ourselves, we have to reinvent, build upon ourselves, or that's how we thrive, and that's how we survive.
5,800 though is probably such a nice number. I mean, there are 5,800 people communities that are small towns. I want to consider this a small town because there's so much business and e-commerce that happens, but it's a size that it seems like you can really wrap your arms around it.
Yeah.
And you can celebrate 150 jobs.
Yeah.
As opposed to if it's, if you're mayor of Chicago and you get 150 jobs, I mean,
that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a rounding error. I mean, not even hardly a rounding error.
Right.
So that's got to be nice, so that you've got this good economic engine and you can get your arms around it and make some progress.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing, is that, when I have a new business open, I am at every single ribbon cutting, because that's our community, right? Building huts, as you saw me when you came in, that's part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with this kind of small town feel, is this role, I've come to find out, you really get, you don't just get into the shallow end, you dive right into the deep end.
Any lessons on the job or things that have surprised you?
Yeah, I'll say this, when and I was so privileged to have my predecessor, as he was leaving, and he it wasn't a competitive race against him. He was leaving, so he brought me down to Springfield to introduce me, and on that trip, I recognized, as my role as head cheerleader of my community, it's not a partisan gig. It is really, your focus is your community. You're focused in on how to improve, which is true even in Springfield. There's just different, ways to do that. But for me, it has been really just, learning to work not just across the aisle or both sides or what have you. It's work with everybody, and find ways to meet someone else's what they want to accomplish, and how do I accomplish that with someone else who wants to accomplish this, and how do we get there? So, yeah, I really have found that I'm more of a consensus builder, and trying to build that. one of the things that I did when I first got elected, though, was to, use our first ever mayoral veto. So I don't know how much since that was a 5-1 vote, and I vetoed it. There were only six people voting. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that,
did you know that you had that authority, or did you have to go look back at precedent, or are we still?
So
the textbooks will reveal later.
The precedent was they'd never been done before, so there was no precedent. I did know. I did look it up, and one of the things that I ran on, and this is referring back to the grocery tax, was that I was not in favor of it. We in Peoria Heights were lucky again because of our economic activity that we finish every year in the black.
Mm-hmm.
We run no budget deficits, not for the last decade. And so when we finished that strong, our grocery tax, our 1%, was going to deliver $150,000. We finished in the black by, at minimum $350,000 every year. So, I ran against having the grocery tax, and just because you can tax locally doesn't mean you should.
Sure.
And so for us, it just didn't make sense. And, I mentioned Clifton Larson Allen coming in. That's coming in where the grocery store currently is. So we're going to be losing the grocery store. So again, if I can have a 1% tax advantage, competitive advantage against my neighboring communities who have all done that, I can maybe entice a grocery store to come in. So using our, lack of tax to entice new businesses to come to our community was a real asset. So, ultimately, Travis, that veto was overturned by my board. But because of the timing, there's going to be a gap where there'll be no tax in Peoria Heights on groceries from January to June 30th.
Mm-hmm.
And then they overturned it. So on July 1, the tax will come into place. One of the things that I wanted to do on that was I asked my board if they would be willing to just go to the public via referendum to see where the public stood on adding an additional tax. So that will be on the ballot, whether the public approves of taxing, milk, groceries,
mm-hmm.
eggs, baby formula, and we'll see what the public wants to do on
mm-hmm. that. One thing I was going to ask you about, because I don't know where it sits, is your fire department. This seems like it's just been a sticky wicket because it was volunteer, and then it was going to be full-time, but then maybe it became hybrid, and maybe it's back to being partially volunteer. Yeah. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, so doing a little bit of time travel. It was volunteer, and then true of everything, you see volunteers start, not volunteering. So we were down quite a bit. And just from a public safety perspective, we were looking at options. And one of those options was full-time hiring firefighters. I think once the board got into some of those numbers and pension obligations and doing something like that, it became very expensive, again, for a small community that gets $150,000 off tax revenue from groceries. Right. So figuring out how to pay those pensions and those benefits and those costs became a real head scratcher, as you said. So we looked for other options. And so instead of reinventing the wheel, we're geographically surrounded by Peoria. How can we utilize that department, use some of their strengths, but still maintaining our strong history and our department as well? So for what we've decided is for 3 categories. Vehicle extrications, meaning someone's trapped in a vehicle and they need to be able to, jaws of life, cut them out or something like that. So we'll call Peoria Fire Department, our local, neighbor, to help with that. Cardiac arrest, so people having a heart attack where time matters. We'll call Peoria to help with that. And then obviously a house fire, we will call Peoria to help with that. And so the estimated cost by our fire chief was about $53,000 to do that.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. That's not even probably half of one full-time fireman.
Right. So,
and you got the Ferrari. I mean, you got like one of the best fire departments in the state.
Yeah. So it just made financial sense for $53,000 to get.
And they're probably happy to have the money. I mean, it's not really a big needle mover for them, but
Right. And then
what need to add any scale, they just get the money.
Right. And what it provides for our firefighters is that they will also train alongside our the Peoria Fire Department.
And so, and what will they be like? What's left over for them to do then?
Well, they're going to work in tandem.
They'll supplement.
So yeah. So both departments are, signaled out at the same time.
Yeah.
And
but they're volunteers. I mean, are they really going to be?
Well, it's more of a duty crew. So,
okay.
Volunteer. They're still compensated for their time manning the station. So, true volunteers in our department are down to.
Yeah. So it's really a hybrid plus a backstop.
Hybrid plus.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we're going to see how this plays out. We're going to see how this model works, and I hope it works great. But yeah, financially, this kind of was a no-brainer. Just made sense. So again, just trying to make decisions, and those kind of decisions, especially with pension obligations, as you know, in Springfield,
they're killer.
I mean, this could make or break the village for years.
Totally.
In the future. So we're making decisions presently. But, I'm looking at someone, half my age who will one day have my chair, who'll have to live with my decision today. So if I can hold off on having those pension obligations, I think I'm doing the future mayor, the 20 years down the road, a big favor.
Yeah. And we'll see what the future has on those because, the tier 2 pensions are, I don't think, permanent. I mean, there was a bill in veto session that would basically take tier 2 back to tier 1. And the price tag is $68 billion to state. We already had the nation's largest unfunded pension liability, $140 billion, more than all of our neighboring states combined.
Right.
And this one bill would add another 68 on top of that. And you can say, tax the rich, do a 1% wealth tax. Okay, fine. That fixes the state's problem. But there's still a $28 billion on top of the $23 billion on top of the 68 that goes to local governments.
Right.
And that's property taxes.
Right.
So the number one call I get in my office, number one is property taxes are too expensive. Number two is my power bill is too expensive. Right. So this one fell swoop for a community like Peoria would add $800 million onto their unfunded liability. Our property taxes would explode.
Oh, and that's the one thing that, I really pride myself with in Peoria Heights. We take 4.23 cents. So 4.23 cents of every $1 of valuation of your house. So that's what and 90% of that goes to pay pensions. So of that that's paying our police pensions. So really, how do we pay the bills? Economic development.
Their property taxes is more because that's just your portion.
Our levy.
Just yours. So they got the school.
School is gonna, but yeah.
School getting funded.
Yeah. So, but our levy.
Yeah.
In the village.
4 cents.
4.23 cents.
Yeah.
So and 90% of that goes to pay pensions. So if
you have a volunteer fire force.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. Our next segment. First time I've ever done this segment.
Okay.
I call it free advice.
Okay.
Because I got you here. So, what are you going to do? Say no to my question?
Okay.
Because there's two fields, doctors and lawyers. You guys just love to give out free advice, right?
I was hoping you were going to give me the free advice.
No, nobody wants. But politicians, you get what you pay for in advice. I mean, it's free, but it's worth what it's the value. So, as a lawyer, free advice. I don't have any legal questions. Right. I'm just curious more. What do people ask you for free advice? Do you have any free advice for the listener? That type of thing.
So my legal practice is very, it's a niche practice. So I deal with veteran disability, Social Security disability, and railroad disability, all federal disability programs.
Wow, railroad, that's about as niche.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there is they are covered under a federal disability.
Is it for railroad workers?
Correct.
Or not people injured by railroads?
No. That's a personal injury law. You're going to have to go.
I think it's a clergy probably if you're injured by a freight train.
That's true. But people do ask me about how to prepare for that type of thing, but really it's all more about financial planning and how to prepare for your future, because as we found out, and in the federal system, is nothing is a sure thing. So you really want to plan for your future, and everything that we do when we're working, when we're paying into the system, we're contributing. That we're Social Security, for instance, is it turns into an insurance policy. So you're paying your premiums as you work. These FICA taxes, you're paying your premiums. And when my client would come to me, say, I'm injured, I'd like to file, I tell, well, you've been paying these premiums on your Social Security out of your FICA taxes. You had no choice to pay these premiums. Now we're going to put in a claim against the policy you've been paying for 40 years. So Social Security people, who do that, some people think it's a handout or welfare. No, this is an entitlement program. You are entitled to it because you've worked so hard your whole life. So if you do get injured and you're not able to work again, it's not a government handout. You've earned it, you've paid for it, and now you're going to it. So, if anything, if you do have a client or someone who's disabled, they deserve what they've paid for. So I don't want people to think that they're looking for a government handout. You've worked for it, you're entitled to it, you've paid for it. So that's what I would say my advice to is someone who's thinking, I can't work but I don't want a government handout. Stop thinking like that.
Yeah.
You've worked for this.
Well, I'm surprised with the rail, because I would assume that their employer would have an attorney that would, or maybe you're just contract with the employer.
So with rail, so believe it or not, the railroad disability predates Social Security. So when they were doing the railroads and people were getting injured, they set up this federal program specifically for disabled railroad workers. And that really kind of led into what we have in the Social Security world now, and then with the VA too. So it's not a matter of I'm not going against anyone. They're just asking for, as an attorney, I'm helping them get the benefits that were promised them, the benefits that they paid for, and so that's what I do in my role.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some kind of funky things about working with railroad stuff, because one thing I found in my role is, man, if you think anybody has power, this railroad scoffs at power. And I think it just goes back to the days of like Vanderbilt, and they were crisscrossing the country.
Yeah.
And like to pass a law that has anything to do with rail is like not only not happening, like it doesn't have any standing. Right. Like, and I think there's even areas where the federal government can't really touch rail. I mean, they just have such a sweet carve out.
We have a highway project right down on Route 29, right below the hill, right along the Illinois River, and we have this water main that's right under the road, and we need to burrow underneath the railroad tracks to get there. And the joke is, well, good luck, because we'll call, and good luck, having a return call from anyone there. Like I said, as you said it well, they'll just scoff in your face.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm not calling Norfolk Southern, I'm not calling Conrail or Union Pacific. I'm dealing with that one individual. So, but yeah, I've heard some stories, my friend. I heard some stories.
Well, before I let you go, you want to plug anything going on down here? This will air the first week of December, so it'd be right into your holidays.
Yeah. So again, first week of December, we're still having the Kringle Market here in Tower Park. The Heights all down the thoroughfare along Prospect. Well, the stores are having holiday sales, so come visit us. Our tree will be lit up the whole time. Soderstrom Castle along Grandview Drive is offering tours of the castle during this time. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
Cool.
A lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, I encourage all your viewers, your listeners to come out and visit us. It's happening in the Heights.
I love it. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Absolutely. I'm Travis Weaver, and you're listening to the Good People Project.